Did you know that Abraham's journey to becoming the father of faith only started because he directly asked God to reveal himself? This isn't the Abraham you think you know. Today, we're diving into a story you've probably never heard before. The Apocalypse of Abraham, Chapters 1. This fascinating apocryphal text takes us back to the origins of Abraham's faith. Today, Clinton from the Lost Testament channel will be completing our voiceover story. Make sure to check description to subscribe to his channel, which dives deeper into the Apocalypse of Abraham, the book on the early life of Jesus, tales of Anunnaki, and many more truths about creation. So let's jump straight in and uncover this incredible tale.
One day, while I, Abraham, was guarding the idols of my father Terah and my brother Nahor, I decided to test which of their gods was truly the strongest. At that time, it was my turn to complete the services in my father Terah's temple, a place filled with gods made of wood, stone, gold, silver, copper, and iron. As I entered the temple to perform the rituals, I noticed something strange. One of the stone gods, named Marumath, had fallen to the ground at the feet of an iron god named Cain. I was puzzled and thought to myself, how could a god fall like this? I tried to put Marumath back in its place, but it was far too heavy for me to lift on my own. So I went and told my father what had happened. When my father joined me, we tried lifting the idol together. As we were placing it back in its position, the head of the stone god, Marumath, fell off while I was holding it. My father saw this and immediately called out to me, "Abraham." I replied, "Here I am." He said, "Bring me the axes and chisels from the house." I did as he asked and brought him the tools. Without hesitation, my father began carving a new idol out of another stone to replace the broken Marumath. Meanwhile, he smashed the fallen head of the original idol into pieces, along with the rest of the broken Marumath. After my father finished making 5 new idols, he gave them to me and instructed me to sell them in the marketplace. I saddled my father's donkey, loaded the idols onto it, and set off along the main road to sell them. As I traveled, a caravan of merchants from Fandana of Syria appeared, heading toward Egypt to buy goods from the Nile. These merchants were traveling with camels, and I stopped to ask them some questions. They answered me, and as we walked, we struck up a conversation. Suddenly, one of their camels let out a loud scream. The noise startled my father's donkey, causing it to panic and bolt. The donkey threw off its load of idols, and as they hit the ground, 3 of the idols were smashed to pieces, while 2 remained intact. When the Syrian merchants saw what had happened, they said to me, "Why didn't you tell us you were carrying gods? We would have bought them before the donkey heard the camel's voice and caused this mess. Now you've suffered a loss. At least sell us the gods that remain, and we'll pay you a fair price." I thought about their offer and decided to sell them both the intact idols and the broken ones. The merchants paid me for all of them, including the shattered pieces, which eased my worry about how I would explain everything to my father. Once the transaction was complete, I took the 3 broken idols and threw them into the river Gur nearby. They sank into the depths of the water and were gone forever. As I continued walking along the road, my heart grew restless and my mind was filled with questions. I thought to myself, what is this strange work my father is doing? Isn't he, in a way, the god of these idols? After all, they only exist because of his sculpting, his planning, and his skill. If anything, they should be honoring him because he is their creator. What sense does this make? I reflected on what had just happened with Marumath, the idol made of stone. When Marumath fell in his sanctuary, he couldn't even stand back up on his own. I couldn't lift him either. not without my father's help. Even when we raised him, his head fell off. My father simply took another stone, carved a headless idol, and placed Marumath's broken head onto it. Then there were the other idols, the 5 that were loaded onto the donkey. When the donkey threw them off, 3 were smashed to pieces. Those idols couldn't save themselves or stop the donkey from destroying them. Their broken shards sank into the river and never came back up. How could they be gods? These thoughts burdened me. I questioned in my heart if Marumath, a god with the head of another stone, couldn't even save himself. How could he save a man? How could he hear someone's prayer or give them any kind of blessing? None of this makes sense. When I arrived back at my father's house, I tended to the donkey, giving it water and hay. Then I took the silver I had earned from selling the idols and placed it in my father Terah's hand. He was pleased and said to me, "You are blessed, Abraham, by the God of my gods, because you've brought me the price for the idols. My hard work was not in vain." But I couldn't let his words go unquestioned. I replied, "Listen to me, Father Terah. If the gods are blessing you, it's only because you are their God. You made them. Their so-called blessing is meaningless and their power is empty. They couldn't even save themselves, so how can they help you or bless me? The truth is, I've done well for you in this transaction. With my judgment, I managed to bring you the silver for the smashed idols." When my father heard what I said, he became furious. My words against his gods angered him deeply, and I could see his fury burning within him. After considering my father's anger, I decided to leave for a while. But as I was walking away, my father called out to me. "Abraham," I replied, "here I am. Go gather wood chips. I was making gods from fir wood before you arrived, and I need those chips to prepare my midday meal." While collecting the wood chips, I noticed a small wooden idol among them, small enough to fit in my left hand. Its forehead was inscribed with the name God Barisat. I placed the chips on the fire to prepare my father's food, and as I stepped out for a moment, I set Barisat next to the fire. Mockingly, I said to the little idol, Barisat, "Watch the fire and make sure it doesn't go out. If it does, blow on it to make it flare up again." When I returned, I found Barisat lying on his back, his feet surrounded by flames and burning intensely. I couldn't help but laugh at the sight and sarcastically said, "Barisat, you're doing a great job managing the fire and cooking food." As I spoke, the flames consumed Barisat entirely, reducing him to ashes. I finished preparing the food and brought it to my father. I served him wine and milk, and he ate and drank, clearly enjoying himself. As he ate, he blessed his god, Marumath. I said to him, "Father Terah, don't bless Marumath. Instead, you should praise Barisat, your god. Out of love for you, he threw himself into the fire to cook your food." My father looked at me and asked, "Where is Barisat now?" I replied, "He burned in the fire and became ashes." My father, rather than being dismayed, said, "Great is the power of Barisat. I'll make another one today, and tomorrow he'll prepare my meal again." When I, Abraham, heard my father's words, I couldn't help but laugh to myself. Yet deep inside, I groaned with frustration and sorrow. I thought, how can something my father has created with his own hands be considered his aid? Has he surrendered his body to his soul to a spirit, and his spirit to pure ignorance? I resolved to speak my thoughts plainly to him, even if it meant enduring his anger. I said, "Father Terah, whichever of these gods you choose to praise, you are mistaken in your thinking. Consider the gods of my brother Nahor in the holy sanctuary. They are more venerable than yours. Look at Zuchaios, Nahor's god. He is made of gold, something highly valued by man. And if Zuchaios ages or loses his shine, he can be melted down and remolded. But Marumeth, your god, is made of stone. If he is damaged or broken, he cannot be restored. And what about Iowav, Nahor's other god, who stands beside Zuchaios? He is carved from wood and adorned with silver, making him more esteemed than Barisat, your god. Iowav's value, like Zuchaios, comes from human perception, from how he appears to the outside world. But Barisat, your god, wasn't even a god to begin with. He was once a tree, deeply rooted in the earth, magnificent with branches and flowers. People might have praised him in his natural state. Yet you cut him down with an axe, reshaped him with your skill, and declared him a god. Now look at him. He has dried up, his vitality has vanished, and his grandeur is gone. He fell from greatness to insignificance, and even his face has withered. In the end, Barisat couldn't even save himself. He was burned in the fire, reduced to ashes, and is no more. Yet you say, let me make another, and tomorrow he will cook my food. But how can a god that couldn't prevent its own destruction have the strength to create or sustain anything? Even fire, for all its might, seems more deserving of reverence than these idols. Fire subdues anything it burns and consumes what perishes easily. But I won't call fire a god either, for even fire is subdued by water. And what about water? It is more powerful than fire, able to extinguish flames and nourish the earth to bring forth fruit. Yet water too is not a god, for it retreats beneath the earth and is subjected to its depths. Then there's the earth itself. Shall we call it a goddess? No, for it dries out under the heat of the sun and serves man in his labor. Perhaps the sun. The sun is indeed remarkable, for it illuminates the entire universe with its rays, warming and brightening the skies. But I cannot call the sun a god, for even it can be obscured by the moon or hidden behind clouds. And what of the moon or the stars? While they light up the night, they too can lose their glow at times. They are not gods either. Listen to me, Father Terah. I will seek the true God, the one who created all these things we falsely call gods. Who is it that made the heavens so vivid and crimson, the sun so golden, and gave the moon and stars their light? Who dried out the earth amidst the waters? Who placed you here among creation, and who has sought me out even in my confusion? No idol can claim this majesty. The true God will reveal himself to us by his own will. As I pondered these thoughts about my father Terah and his idols in the courtyard of our house, something extraordinary happened. A voice, powerful and unmistakable, descended from the heavens in a stream of fire, calling my name, Abraham, Abraham. I replied, "Here I am." The voice continued, "You are searching for the God of gods, the Creator within the understanding of your heart. I am He. Leave your father Terah and depart from his house, so that you too are not consumed by the sins of your father's household." Obeying the command, I began to leave. But as I stepped just outside the entrance of the courtyard, a mighty thunder roared from above. Flames descended and engulfed my father's house, burning it to the ground, along with everything inside. The fire's devastation stretched 40 cubits wide, leaving nothing but ashes. Thank you for watching part 1. If you are interested in part 2, please leave a comment below. Make sure you like and comment to help this video reach more people.